Today is the first day since I started my business in January 2017 that everything on the trailer, except for the mowers, is battery powered. You guys may know that for stick equipment, edgers, string trimmers, hedge trimmers, those have been electric for years. It started with Echo, then Hart had me try some of their stuff out, and then once TORO came out with their 60-volt attachment capable with the brushless motor, that's what I've been using for maybe the past year now. Now TORO has their 60-volt commercial lineup, so this is a dedicated string trimmer. Unfortunately, they don't have a dedicated edger or an attachment system in this commercial footprint yet. So this is a commercial string trimmer, 16-inch, I believe. We've got our commercial 60-volt hedge trimmer, which I don't have any hedge trimming jobs today, so that is just going to stay here in the garage. But the difference in today than all the other days where I was using electric equipment is the gas blower staying home today, because we've got the Revolution 60-volt backpack blower. I think I'm right on the specs that it's 730 CFM at 160 miles an hour. When you compare that to like Echo 770 or the BR 600 or, you know, those mid-level blowers, it competes on the CFM. The 730 CFM is good, but the miles per hour on the gas stuff is usually over 200, and this is only 160. I still think it's gonna be fine for what I'm doing, which is just blowing off driveways after I'm done servicing them bi-weekly or weekly. I'm not doing leaf cleanups with them. I don't think backpack blowers are ready for leaf cleanups, but I do think it's ready for what I'm gonna use it for. Or at least I hope it is, and if it's not, I'll be sure and tell you. Now there's a few more pieces that make this setup possible. This new 6-pod charger from TORO. This is really nice because in just one plug, one unit, you can have 6 of your batteries, and it has the capability of charging them all at once, or it will charge the lowest battery all by itself until it's full, and then it'll go to the next one. That is plugged in to my power bank, which you can see is fully charged. I can usually go 3 days without having to recharge this. I have 3 7.5 amp hour batteries, which is not their biggest. They also came out with a 10 amp hour battery with this new commercial stuff. I don't have one of those to show you. That reminds me, the other thing they came out with that I don't have to show you is a tether. You can actually disconnect this blower, which let me actually go ahead and just do that real quick. So that blower just pops off. So now this is just a battery pack with a lot of battery power. They have a tether that slides in here, and on the other end is something you can hook into here. So you can actually run these stick equipments off of that backpack battery. So back to the batteries, I've got 3 7.5 amp hours. 2 of those 7.5 amps are in the backpack blower right now. Then I have 4 2.5 amp hour batteries. You can see this one needs a little bit of charge. All these other ones are full, but this is what I run the edgers, string trimmers, and hedge trimmers on. Before I had this, I would have to use that 7.5 amp hour because my 2.5s wouldn't last me through the whole day, and it was terrible because at the end of the day, when I was really tired, I'd have to pull out this 8-pound battery and use it to finish out the day. So I really think if you're gonna do battery lawn care equipment, you're gonna have to have something on board to keep your batteries charging. Otherwise, you just have to buy enough batteries to get through the day. That's extremely expensive. So the way this pod works, you can see these 3 lights are for these 3 bays. There's another 3 LEDs for the next 3. All of them are green, they're all charged right now. So I'm gonna pop that one out, and we see that LED went away. I'm gonna swap in the drained battery. And we see now it's charging. Over here is where you choose from your charging mode. So A is the mode where it gives all its charging power to one battery until it's full, then it moves on to the next one, and all the other ones have to wait. Mode B is where all batteries will charge a little bit at a time. The current that I'm taking from my battery bank, I'm pulling about 250 watts. So I'm gonna put these full 2.5 amps in the stick equipment, so I'm ready to go for my first yard. But this is now the setup for 2023 moving forward. I don't know how long it's gonna be until I can get my hands on a battery mower to test out, but the way the prices are, I know I can't buy one. It's they're a little bit expensive. Hopefully one day I will be able to showcase some battery mowers. And again, it's not to change your mind. None of these videos are to try and convince you to switch to electric equipment. All I want to do is show you how it works, so that if you have questions on, will this specific equipment work for me, then I'm going to show it in the situations that you might use it in and hopefully give you some information. So I finished 3 yards for the day and started another batch of 3, and I'm about to start string trimming. The edger was down to 3 bars and the string trimmer was down to 2. So now I'm swapping those 2 batteries out for 2 fresh ones. And again, you see here the green one's charging, the yellow one is saying it's waiting. Yellow means it's waiting for its turn. And again, we're pulling around 280 watts out of this machine. So the blower I've done 3 yards on, it's still showing 100% battery, you know, 4 lights, which obviously is not 100%. This one will be a little bit different because I've got this yard, that yard, and then there's one, I think I'm pointing to it right here. So I'm gonna string trim these 2, then take my 36-inch, my string trimmer, my blower, and go finish the backyard there, string trim everything, blow that off, come back, load the mower, and then blow all this stuff off. So I'm done mowing, string trimming, blowing all the yards. This guy, I think I got tricked, because when you squeeze the trigger, it starts at 4 LEDs and then goes down to what it is. So when I started blowing these properties, I think I told you it was at 4 bars. It was probably at 3, because it was at 2 later on when I was doing it. So now it's still at 2. I'm assuming that means between 50 and 75%, but I don't really know where. So I think one thing with batteries, until I get the feel for these ones, is I'll have to be a little bit more conservative. And so what I'm gonna do, instead of waiting until that ticks down to 1/4 or dies, I'm just gonna go ahead and right now put these batteries on the charging pod, and then I'll have my next yard where I will mow, string trim, edge, then I'll get those batteries out and start blowing. But I think I'm gonna have to get in the habit of charging them when I have the time, rather than charging them when they're at 25 or 0%, because I could see me running into a lot of issues doing that, where I run out of charge and, you know, it's going to take too long to charge them. So I think it's better to keep everything topped off if you can. Those 2 that I put in, that one's done charging. It says it's still charging, but it's at 4, so it's probably mostly full. The string trimmer that I pulled, I'm down to 1 bar on it. So I'm gonna swap it out so it'll charge. And then we'll put our blower batteries in there too. I've got 2 waiting to charge over there. I've got 1 waiting to charge. Then I've got 1 full 7.5 in case I had to use my blower for some reason. I've got that as an emergency backup. And then my string trimmer and my edger both have full batteries in them. You know, a little bit of a learning curve, because it's not quite just like looking at a gas gauge and seeing how much gas is left in the tank. It's a little more vague than that. So I think there's maybe some best practices that I'll have to learn. That's it for those 3 yards. We're gonna load up and head to the next yard. So we've mowed, string trim, edge the next yard. So it's time to blow everything off. So one of the batteries is up to full. This guy's still at half. So I'm just gonna take this full one, pop him in with my other full one, and let these guys keep charging. So we're back home. I only had 9 today. I'm trying to build the schedule out a little bit more, but 9 is what I had today. Everything's charged, down to 62%. So now I'm just gonna unload these full batteries, leave them in the truck, take this pod in, and all my drained batteries, and charge them inside, and plug this to charge it inside too. This is what the end of the day charging looks like. This guy just gets plugged into a cord that's specifically for that. And then here's the TORO, which again is plugged into the wall over there. So over the night that'll charge those up, and then tomorrow I'll have full TORO batteries, and I'll have the full battery bank, and we'll do it all over again. So far the first day, I like it. But anything can work good for a day when it's brand new. So if you're interested in something long term, be sure to stick around because I'll be putting stuff out on this for a while.